I time that wrong? Huh. Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat, and there's a few things going on today. I keep hearing about this border bill. Biden's been sounding off his mouth about how, give me the money, give me the power, and I'll fix the border. And the Senate, with bipartisan support, has put together some kind of a border bill, I guess, except that it, as everybody is saying online, it helps Ukraine more than it helps the border. It actually makes things worse. It permanently sets things up so that 5,000 people can cross the border illegally every single day. But this time they don't have to tear the fences down or anything. They'll just come through the regular border place. They'll allow up to 5,000 per day. Japan has, I don't know if any of you have been following this, but they have a population problem, which means that they don't have enough people to do work. They've got a bunch of empty houses, that sort of thing, population in decline. Anyway, they have been scrambling, the government over there, to figure out ways to get people there, to get people working, to fill positions, that sort of thing. And apparently they've come up with this new digital nomad visa, which is kind of interesting for anyone who's interested in traveling about, maybe living somewhere else. Japan is becoming more of a viable option for people who maybe didn't have that option before. And $6 burger. Who remembers the $6 burger? I remember when that was a thing. It was a long time ago now, I guess. But how much is that $6 burger today? Oh, and Tucker Carlson, is he stuck in Russia? Anyway, more on all that coming up in just a second, so stick around. จะมีแม่บ้านเชื่อโบราณที่เลหากเลือกงัวดูหางแม้เลือกนางดูแม่นั่นแหละแน่เข้าทีบ้านเรือนสะอาดตา Timed my caffeine intake a little bit better that time. All right. Well, before we get into some of these subjects that come up in the news, I want to remind everybody that the like button lives down below this video. If you wouldn't mind giving it your vote or vote of disapproval, whatever you want to do, it's down there. Don't forget about it. And if you enjoy watching this particular program, if you find it entertaining at all or whatever the reason you like it, hey, share it out with your friends. Otherwise, there's no way it's going to grow at all. And, don't forget to subscribe yourself. Join the revolution so you don't miss out on future live streams. They happen here and there. I mean, to have them regularly at a normal time, but, life is pretty crazy. If this was a paying gig, then, maybe I could afford to do that. So, like I said, share it out with your friends. Let's get this thing growing so that we can make it a regular show, a regular thing. And, then we can do this all the time. Literally all the time I can be on here. Well, probably not all the time, but you get the point. Also, remember, I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just some guy like all of you who looks at the news sometimes and then comments on it. So you probably have opinions that are more valid than mine. Do us all a favor and share them with us, either in the live chat if you're catching us live or by leaving your comments down below. We'll take them either way. We want to hear what you have to say. And without further delay, let's get into this whole thing with the Biden border bill. I'm not sure what the exact title of the bill is. They always come up with creative names. It probably has something like Build Back Better Border something. Anyway, I'm hearing from people that have been going through it and analyzing it that this does nothing for the border. I've been a little bit perplexed myself because it was my impression that the federal government, like the executive branch in particular, they're kind of have the power already to close off the border. In fact, I didn't think that it was just a power, like it's an option, If you say, give me the power, it's like, well, then I have the power to do it, but I don't have to because, I have that skill, but it doesn't mean necessarily that I use it all the time. I can be a great race car driver, but it doesn't mean I do that on residential streets, for example. Well, in this case, it wasn't so much a power, like the federal government has the power. The president has, the power vested in him to control the border situation. I kind of thought it was a duty and a responsibility to protect the border. That's kind of what we put him in that office for. Well, I didn't vote for him, if you're wondering. Anyway, I thought that was a responsibility, not, a power. So he's out there, saying he's got, give me the power. It's like, you already have that. In fact, you have the responsibility. You're just not doing it. I wish that there were, the Constitution or wherever these laws are written, that it would have, like, if they don't do this, then here's a punishment attached or something, like, if you fail, then here is what we do to you. Because, really you're kind of relying on these people to enforce these laws. And that's what it comes down to. It's not a power, it's a responsibility, and it already exists, and he's failing. In fact, he's the one now that we want to protect. They're talking about giving them more money, and all this stuff, and more power over the border. In fact, I saw that it would strip Texas of any ability to, of course, something that we've learned from this whole Biden, episode, his time in the office there, is that the laws don't really mean anything. It's just a piece of paper. I mean, sure, like I said, he has a responsibility, he has an obligation, a duty to protect the border, and so what? There's nothing there about like what you can do to if he doesn't. I think that you could, impeach, but if the people in the government are on his side and don't care about the regular people or protecting you, then the law is just a piece of paper that doesn't really mean anything. Sure, it's a really fancy piece of paper that's really, really old and has some famous signatures on it, but if we don't uphold the law, then it really doesn't mean a whole lot. I know that's hard to hear, especially for a lot of people who watch this little live stream or show or whatever you want to call it, who actually value the Constitution. Something that these people have done is to basically turn it into nothing but a piece of paper, because it has no power. There's no enforcement. If they decide that they're not going to fulfill their responsibilities, then you're just kind of stuck. It's just too bad, And that's the way they're looking at it. Like, he'll give us the power so that we can, And really what they're doing is making sure that when they know, because they know they're going to be out of office, this is where it's going. After he's gone and Trump gets in, guess what? Congress passed a law, and they haven't yet. Make sure that they don't, talk to your Congress people and tell them no way. But essentially what they're trying to do is make it so that when he's gone, no matter what, even if it's Donald Trump in that office or whoever, maybe that Kennedy or somebody like that, I don't know. I don't think that that's going to happen. But whoever it is, they will be bound by the law that says that they have to allow 5,000 people across that border every single day. And they know that the next group to come in is probably going to have more respect for the law, and their hands will be tied. But we need to make sure that we stop that, so that these lawless people that are running things right now don't mess things up for us anymore after they're gone. It's like he's leaving booby traps for after he's gone. Well, I don't think that he's the one actually doing that. He's doing the bidding of somebody, but because he has no idea what he's doing. I don't know. Do you think that Joe Biden is actually as mentally declined as they're saying he is, or is it? I know you see him on TV and his mind breaks down. We all laugh. Do you think that that's real? Like, I mean, obviously he has some kind of an issue, but do you think that he's really that far declined, or is he just tired all the time because he's so old, but knows exactly what he's doing? I'd be curious what everybody has to say, because I don't know. Is he actively taking part in these policies? In which case, there'd be somebody to hold accountable. I don't know who it is that's making these decisions. Let's see. I see some responses coming in here. Let's see. Mike Malone, you now can go eat at Applebee's for the same cost of a fast food. Yeah. But has Applebee's gone up in price? I haven't been to Applebee's in so long that I have no idea what they even have on the menu. Let's see. Mike Malone. No, I think his double is. Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people like to. I don't know. Is that really Joe Biden, or is it a robot? Who knows? You never know. I guess maybe the robot has some flaws. That's why it breaks down. Like, that's just an error in the program. But that, or Joe Biden's mind is going. But, it's it is troubling either way. I guess there's been some indications here and there that, Biden is definitely not running the show. Like when his Secretary of Defense was in the hospital. Is it the Secretary of Defense or is it... Anyway, the guy was in the hospital and Biden had no idea for several days. It's like, isn't he reporting to you? No. Who does he report to if it's not the President of the United States? It's absolutely crazy what's happening. But yeah, his whole thing with the border, like, give me the power, give me the money. It's like, you have it, you already do. What are we doing this bill for? Why in the world are we doing this bill? I guess it makes it's so that they can put it into law that they have to allow all these people across the border, and to make sure that we send more money to Ukraine, a conflict that we hear less and less about as time goes on. I know it started going into the Israel situation, but, I guess that hasn't stopped whatever's going on over there. There's been some new attention to it since Tucker Carlson went over to Russia, apparently. I actually saw a couple other YouTube channels, and I know that they'll never actually see any of these videos, but shame on you for your clickbait thumbnails. I turned on YouTube and it had this thumbnail from somebody saying, like, Tucker Carlson banned from re-entry into the United States, and I'm thinking, what? Impossible. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, like, yeah, I could see them doing that. Have we reached the point now where we have political exiles out there, I guess we have. You have, like, Edward Snowden and some of those people who are stuck abroad. But where am I going with this? It turns out that he has not been banned from re-entry into the United States, but there are people who are calling for him to be banned from entering back into the United States. And I feel it's terrible that we've reached a point in this country where that could actually be real, The thumbnail was just clickbait stuff, but the fact that I believed it and that, it just seems like something that the government would do. And who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll go through with it. Maybe this is like a warning shot to Tucker Carlson, like, you better not interview Vladimir Putin, which he probably already has. I don't keep up with that very well, but you better not, or you're not coming back. And, looking around at things, maybe be like, okay, all right, I'm not coming back. Okay, thank you. Well, I can't imagine that. I'm sure he cares enough about the country. He doesn't want to be away and just allowing things to fall apart without having his voice heard, at least. He has a lot of influence. But that's interesting that people are calling for that. How far down the road of tin pot dictatorship have we gone? I mean, if there was like a list, like a checklist of things you'd have to mark off, how many of those items have we met already? I mean, you look at like political prisoners, you're trying to imprison your political rivals, and then, now we have like the political exiles. We have living abroad. Now we're getting to the point of the political exiles. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, and the situation in Texas hasn't gone away, if any of you are wondering. It's my understanding that the latest situation now is that Biden is calling for the National Guard from Alaska to go to Texas to face off, I guess, against the Texas National Guard. That's just so crazy. I kind of thought that Alaska is very similar in some ways to Texas, the mentality of people out there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like they're going to go there, and if Biden tells them to do anything, they're going to be like, nah, nope, we're not going to help you open up the border. But who knows, maybe it's really, really hard for the people to get from Texas at that border point to Alaska, being that they'd have to actually cross another couple of borders or ocean or something like that. Not to mention the fact that it gets extremely cold, which is a very different climate than many of these people are probably used to. Now, they did say there's a lot of Chinese people coming across the border, which my thought on that, I'm like, okay, good, yeah, sure. But, what am I saying? Maybe some of them are used to cold weather. Maybe if they're coming from like way up north in Harbin or something like that, they can handle Alaska. But Alaska's probably not dealing with a lot of the migrant problems that the rest of the country is dealing with. So maybe they're not of the same mentality. Who knows? But you never know. You never know what those people. They probably pay attention to the news. They go down there, and Biden gets in a situation. I guess he could put it on Alaska. He's not sending the actual military. He's sending. Well, it's the actual military. What am I? I'm sorry. I apologize to anyone who's in the National Guard. It's the real military. You guys have. Yeah. That's not what I meant. And I'm not joking. Oh, man. What did I step in this time? But, yeah, he's not sending the army, I guess I should say, is the federal troops. He's sending that. Or how is that even working? Is he federalizing them and then sending them over there? Or is he just asking Alaska to come, like, hey, Alaska, send your people over there? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But it's crazy just the same that we have this standoff taking place in the country, and I just keep hoping, like, come on, just let us, just until November at least, just hold out a little bit longer before everything comes flying apart. We don't want the whole country to just absolutely fall apart before then. Just let us get to the election. That's all. And then we can see what happens at that point. If you feel like it's a lost cause after that, then, I guess I will just get out of here, and then whatever happens, happens. But at least let's hold out until then. Let's hope that we can hold out until then. What else did I have here? Yes, the situation with the cost of food. I don't know if you guys remember, long ago, I think it was Hardee's or Carl's Jr., they had what they called the $6 burger. And it was supposed to be like, this is the good stuff. You get the $6 burger. It's like going to the steakhouse burger or something, It wasn't like a steakhouse burger. But just the same, they had the $6 burger. And I remember thinking, like, that's a lot just for the burger, If I go into the Carl's Jr. or Hardee's and I spend $6 and it's not even the meal, we're talking just the burger. That's kind of laughable at this point. Can you get a meal for $5? I'm sure there's places that have meals for $5, but they probably have like a teeny tiny burger. If you get a burger, maybe it's just like a meal with 2 chicken nuggets or something. But anyway, I remember that being like, wow, $6. It must be good just for the burger. I go to a Hardee's today. I don't know if you guys have been to fast food much as of late, but boy, that $6 burger has been done to shame. Now you can get a $10 burger. I mean, it's not advertised as a $10 burger, but that's what you're going to pay for just the burger. And I'm not talking about whatever, none of them are really fancy, but we're talking to Hardee's here. You go into Hardee's or Carl's Jr., you get a burger, and it's about $10. Just the burger, not the meal, not anything else, just the burger, $10. And that's wild that we've reached that point. I don't know what to say. I guess that costs, they try to say inflation is under control and all of this stuff, and it's outrageous. It's crazy. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I can remember back when, prices were significantly different. But wow, I feel like maybe it's also because I've been away from the country for a while. When I was in China all that time, the prices jumped significantly. I mean, I come back and I look at things and it's outrageous. Everything is absolutely crazy. But $10 for just the burger. No fries, no drink, just the hamburger. And that's what you get. $10. Absolutely crazy. Now, I did mention this thing with Japan. Maybe some of you are looking at the situation here in the United States, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is wild, out of control. I need to go somewhere completely different and just get away from all of this. Well, your opportunity has arrived. I mean, if you can handle living in Asia for a lengthy period of time. They now have the digital nomad visa. Now, there is a little bit of a hiccup here. Now, well, obviously you have to meet certain thresholds as far as, income is concerned, that sort of thing. They want to make sure you're actually able to support yourself if you go to their country. Imagine that, a country that wants to make sure that people actually, can support themselves and don't have to live in camps. But, if you meet those requirements, you can go. And you can live in Japan, and you don't even have to have a job or, like the work visa. You can have the digital nomad. Now, you do have to have a job that you work, what would you call it, remotely. you work remote from your home country, which is really the biggest hiccup, because at one time that was all the rage. That was all there was. Everything was remote, and that seems to have kind of dried up. So maybe Japan is a little bit late to the party here, and the digital nomad thing has kind of disappeared. I don't know. Maybe you could count like I do YouTube or something like that, or I'm some kind of Instagram influencer or something, and I get paid money. That maybe that would qualify if you can show that you're actually getting the requisite income. But if you can get a job, let's say you've got like, I don't know, online customer service, something like that, or I don't know what you would do. Maybe you're an engineer and you do your work, remotely. You just get on the computer and do your stuff, send it into whatever place. Maybe talk to people through Skype. Is Skype a thing still? I don't know. I'm so out of touch with everything. I don't even know if Skype is still going. But anyway, let's say you do that. You could go to Japan and you could live there. And it's not as expensive as you'd think. I mean, sure, there's things that are very expensive over there, but not all of Japan is expensive. And you can enjoy all of that Japan has to offer. Now, I will warn you that going to Asian countries is sometimes not quite what you would expect. I know everybody has like this idea about anime and manga stuff, and sci-fi things, and they think I'm going to go to Japan and it's going to be like that. And then you go there and it's absolutely not like that. You'd have to be prepared for that. The world of the future, as you imagine it in Japan, is more like the ATM closes after a certain time. Like, what's the point of the ATM if the bank, if it closes? That sort of thing. Certain expectations, but it's a different sort of thing. You can kind of observe it. And since the Nomad visa is only for 6 months, maybe it doesn't even matter. But yeah, it's an interesting opportunity. Maybe I should look at taking advantage of that. Of course, I'd run into the same problems that I have everywhere I go. That I have a house in America that has to be dealt with, and I just don't feel comfortable renting it. I just worry. I hear so many horror stories about people renting things out, renting their home out, and then having it get destroyed. But I've got to think about that. It'd be an interesting one to live in Japan. I've been over there so many times. I just know that. I take it back. It used to be that the best McDonald's I ever had, and as ridiculous as that sounds, the best one that I ever had was a Big Mac in Tokyo, or was it in Nagoya? A Japanese city anyway. I got this Big Mac, and it's like, wow, it looks just like the picture, like it's supposed to. Amazing. And that was the best for a while, until I went to Dubai and got their Royal Burger, or whatever they call it. That was the very best. That was really, really good. I don't know what they do over there, but when they prepare food, I guess they do a really good job. So that has taken the place of Japan as the best McDonald's, but that should give you hope. If you're thinking of going somewhere else to get away from it all, maybe you work as a nomad, they do have McDonald's and other things. So you won't have to be totally on the Japanese, like dried up instant ramen diet or something like that. You can still have access to your whatever fast food comfort thing you have. And they have really good steak over there too. But that was an interesting one that I saw. Let me see. The Tucker situation. We talked about that. He's not stuck. He's not stuck. So if you do see anything saying that he's stuck, at least for now, he is not actually stuck. He's perfectly free to leave Russia. I'm not sure how that works. Are there still flights going from the United States to Russia? I was under the impression that all of that had been stopped. That, people weren't flying from Europe, for example. Let's say if I'm in Paris or something, I can't just hop on a flight to go to Moscow. That was my impression anyway. But apparently there are still ways to get there. I suppose if you were someone like me, you could easily just go to China and then from there go to Moscow. I'm not sure why an American under other circumstances than, Tucker Carlson having the opportunity to interview one of the most consequential people of our time. There's a lot of people arguing like, there's a traitor for doing that. I don't feel like that. I feel like, if you were a journalist and you had the opportunity to interview someone like Vladimir Putin, would you do it? I'd be curious, Anyone who's watching this, what would you do? Would you take the interview? Or would you say, no, he's a bad guy and I'm not going to do it? I mean, think about the drug lords and stuff. If somebody came along and they're like, hey, you have the opportunity to interview Pablo Escobar. He's not alive. He's not among the living anymore. But what would you do? I mean, you'd be like, okay, this is going to be the biggest deal of my career. I'm going to go and do this interview, even if, it's risky. And Tucker Carlson certainly is taking a risk going over there because of the situation. For all we know, the Russian government could say, well, now he's our hostage, and you never know. It's a big risk. But what would you do? I think that I would go for it. I mean, if that's what you do, if you're a journalist. And now they're calling him a traitor and all this stuff. It's like, what's wrong with us, What happened to journalism? I guess we know what happened to journalism. It's all propaganda now. It's so frustrating. It used to be that the other side, it's like, well, that news station or whatever, they lean whatever way on the political spectrum, and the other one leans more to my liking, so I watch them. It used to just be that. Now it's like just solid propaganda, and it doesn't even matter which side you're listening to. I every now and again I'll hear people attacking Fox News or this and that, and like they're conservative, whatever, and it's like, well, it's all the same these days, isn't it? It doesn't matter. I mean, same stories, same stuff. Maybe they add a little bit of the, the right-leaning flavor to it or something, a bit of the spice on one end or the other, but it's all the same stuff. It's all controlled by the same people. They get their orders from somewhere. And it's no different now than if I was watching CGTN, which, for those of you who don't know, that's the international arm, I guess, of the Chinese news apparatus, if you want to call it that. Their information apparatus. You can always hear what they want to say. I think most cable networks carry their channel. Or you can get on YouTube and watch all you want. CCTV, it doesn't necessarily stand for closed circuit television. It's also the Chinese television, China Central Television. If you're curious about hearing the Chinese perspective, I haven't watched in a long time, but I believe with the Chinese New Year coming up, yes, the Valentine's Day isn't the only thing coming up. I'll probably end up having to watch the Chinese New Year Gala, and that'll be interesting. They try to do like subtitles, but because it's live, the subtitles are really terrible and delayed. So you're like, what happened? What did they say? Why is everybody fine? Oh, okay. But I just missed something else. It's terrible to watch. But if you're curious about checking out something like that, I'll have to on one of these live streams. Hopefully, I haven't missed what I'm supposed to do on that already. But I'll have to let you guys know when it is, where you can find it if you're curious about seeing what almost all of China is going to be turned into this thing. Yeah, it's kind of amusing. They even have these things where you can like send in a text message and win money. It's always amusing. You'll see people like they go berserk. Every time it comes up on the screen, and then everybody in the family's like, quick, send the text message. It's always fun. The other games, people get on WeChat. Yes, that communication app, whatever you want to call it, that the American government was talking about banning but never did. They'll get on there. They find all kinds, gambling is illegal in China, but believe me, they find so many different ways to gamble. It's kind of amusing. They have this feature in the app where you can send money, even in a group, and it'll randomly divide it up. So somebody clicks on it, and whoever gets the least is the loser, and then they have to send, money the next time, and they'll like play this back and forth throughout the night, trying to get the upper hand on the money situation. It's kind of amusing. I get on there sometimes and I'll play back and forth with them. It doesn't do me a whole lot of good here in the United States, but I'll just save it up until I go back to China again. Let's see, what do we got here? Yes, information is power. That's from Savage Airguns. Absolutely. It's crazy how they try to keep us from having information. This situation with Tucker Carlson reminds me, they think that we're all idiots. That, or they're afraid that we're not idiots. I don't know. It could go one way or the other, but it's like, well, we can't let you hear that. You might believe the lies. You might actually fall for it. You're too stupid to hear that, you can't handle the truth. It's like, nah, I think that we're going to go with the truth here. We're all adults. We can handle it. Don't try to censor things. This is the United States. It's a free country. At least it's supposed to be. Anyway, I have been talking long enough. It's the afternoon, so that means that at some point I am going to have to go get my son from his school. So before I get off of here, I want to remind everybody the subscription. Join the revolution so you don't miss out on future videos. Don't forget to leave your comments. Let me know what you think about what we've talked about here, what you think we should talk about later on. Whatever it is, let us know. I'm an idiot sometimes, so you probably know better than me. Don't forget about the like button that lives below this video. And with that, I guess we will go ahead and end it here. We'll see you guys in the next one.
ไฟพะวงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางประกงทางห้วยงงหลงเกอหาโอเวรกรรมจำพราก